It's almost time for a new moon in Leo. It's so exciting. It's going to be on Thursday, the 24th of July. So we've almost made it through the Cancer season when I'm recording this. It's Sunday today, July 20th of 2025. How did your Cancer season go? Big emotions, huh? Big feelings? Did you get to have any summer fun? Those of you that are here in the Northern Hemisphere, I know I did. Gosh, I love summertime. I love the warmth and the sunshine and being in warm water. So yeah, we're moving from that Cancerian energy. The last thing that's going to happen while the moon is in Cancer, right before we go into the moon and the sun being in Leo, is the moon in Cancer is going to square Chiron in Aries. So it's really interesting because this is kind of the introduction to like our new moon. And so I'm going to go into a little bit of that. Chiron has to do with being the planet, or being the archetype of the wounded healer. We all have stuff from our childhood that we were introduced from that hurt. And we got to learn what that part of the human existence and our time on this rock that we're on, floating through outer space, we all got to learn about having some pain and healing it. And it's through having some pain and healing it that we are able to have empathy for other people who have some pain that needs healing. And we're able to be something more elevated than just a Neanderthal that's hungry and just, doing the basics. And Leo is all about being above those basics. Leo archetype is about like the crown, the king of the jungle, the lion and the lion's mane. Imagine a lion in front of a mirror, combing their mane and wearing a crown. I do have a little bit of Leo stuff in my own birth chart. What about you? Do you have any Leo aspects in your chart, in your birth chart? Do you have any houses that are highly aspected that rule Leo? Or do you have Leo in any other houses in your chart? Also your progress chart. You can find these things out for free on the internet, and it's fun to find out. So Leo archetype energy is about grandiosity and theatrics and play and warmth and fire and responsibility that comes from seeing oneself as royalty and having a high sense of value. And it's our birthright as human beings to see ourselves as valuable and to value ourselves and to be valued by others and to value each other, which I'm going to go into also a little bit during this little talk. And my goal is to make this 20 minutes. So let's see. It's always my goal to keep it at 20 minutes. So I was saying that, as we finish up this heavy, very, very strong feelings of Cancerian season, the final thing is the instincts. Aries is about instincts and new beginnings. And we're going to be visiting new mistakes, as we've all been through all kinds of changes. And usually on a new moon, it's a time to start something new. But this time, on this new moon, I would say that we've already all started new things. And it's a time, because of Mercury being in retrograde, to take a little recess and re-review some things in regards to what brings us the most happiness and how we really want to be thinking about things in a way that will better serve ourselves and the humanity that's around us, so that we can have our new life be as pleasurable and gratuitous as possible. So we've got this the challenges of these, childhood woundings that we'll be finishing up the Cancer season with. And it was in regards to instincts. So there's this fear of like, we have to be instinctual. We have studied our soul's code already, and now it's time to be instinctual with this Saturn, which has to do with structure, being in Aries now from Pisces. It'll be going back and forth between Aries and Pisces a little bit, but really like it's going to be going into Aries to stay after December. So we know our soul's code, we know our soul's purpose, and now it's time to like live it. And part of living it is being human, and part of being human is learning how to manage and have structure around our instincts and around just existing and trying new things and making mistakes. And sometimes when we're doing new things, we make mistakes. Like if you're new in a new town, you're going to make the wrong turn once in a while, but as you learn your way around town. You're not always going to get from point A to point B exactly the way like you mapped it out. And that's okay. That's like part of the journey. Leo vibes around that though. Leo, I have a little bit of aspects of Leo in my chart, not a lot. I just love Leo. I love Leo vibes. I've learned a lot around self-value and stuff, and with Leo energy, but Leo vibes can sometimes be condescending. The way we talk to ourselves can be kind of condescending, and that is because as humanity, Pluto was in Capricorn for many centuries, over 2 centuries, all of our lifetimes and our grandparents' lifetimes and our great-grandparents' lifetimes, and probably beyond that. There was this power over type dynamic that's Capricorn is known for. And the Capricorn type energy is about building empires and building skyscrapers and having power over the external. Well, we've made this huge shift this year in 2025 for the first time in over 200 and some odd years, from that type of energy, that power over energy, into now it's time to be looking at everything and giving everything a little more power, and to be evening it out a little bit more, because Pluto went into Aquarius. Aquarius is the opposite of Pluto. So they're on a teeter-totter and they rely well on each other. And there's a paradox when solved between those two types of energy, which is Aquarius and Leo. When that paradox is solved, we have a huge evolution. And part of solving that paradox is by living through the time. And that time is going to be now. It is now. It is now, and especially in this next month coming up, which is July. We're in July 20th to around August 20th. Like, there's definitely some things to be focusing on. So the energy went from building the skyscrapers and being focused on external power over, to now it's more of a power within, but it's for the purpose of interconnectedness and interdependence. And we have some Aries aspects that are happening on this new moon, and Aries is very much about independence. And it's easy to slip into the old ways of doing things, but that at the same time, those ways are in opposition to the new way of doing things. And this new way of doing things is very new. So we're going to be making mistakes and figuring it out and learning like, oh, it doesn't work this way anymore. So I want to describe the difference between building a skyscraper and that type of energy, which was Pluto in Capricorn, which is what we were in for so long, and Pluto in Aquarius. So like Pluto in Aquarius, I'm going to describe it like this. Let's say you've got the good watch on and you've got your crown on your head, you're wearing the good suit, and you've got all your notes down and memorized, and you are on par, and you are just like, you got it, right? But you also have a hole in your sock. they might be cashmere socks, but they got a hole in them. And you kind of forget that there was like a hole in the sock because it's just a sock. You're not going to be taking off your shoes wherever you're going. No one's going to know that it's there. It's just this part that's like unseen that's in the back. Or maybe it's like a wedgie, a pair of underwear that are like giving you a wedgie. Or maybe it's like, some butt hairs that like, need to be trimmed or waxed or whatever, and they're getting caught up in the wedgie, whatever. You got this like little thing that is unseen that is causing it's irritated and it's not tended to. Aquarius in Pluto is about tending to that. Just because it's unseen, or it's what they would call, Aquarius would be saying, looking out for the underdog. Well, if you want to change the way you think about things, and Gemini, Mercury in retrograde is a great time to change the way you think about things. Stop thinking about it as the underdogs. I mean, under what? Like, is your sock or your toe that keeps getting stuck in the hole in your sock, or your callus on the sole of your foot from that hole in your sock, does that make the sock or your foot the underdog? Maybe it's the part that needs to be tended to that is easily overlooked because maybe there's been more focus on keeping up appearances, like washing the windows of the Empire State Building, or how tall is the Sears Tower, than on, has every aspect of the situation been given equal fair attention and equal fair tending to? So, you get a good pair of socks that don't have holes in them, and all of a sudden, like, you feel more like going on a walk on your lunch break to like try this new thing, rather than just being like, no, I've got a little scab on my foot that I don't want anybody to know about because of the hole in my sock that I keep putting off taking care of. It's things like these little things, So I would say, like, look at it like that. So we're in this new reality. A lot of us have gone through all these new changes, and there's going to be a lot of little mistakes that happen, and it's about feeling our way through it and giving ourselves grace. Leo can be very condescending. It can have a condescending air about it. And I know this. People have told me, I don't have a lot of Leo in my chart, but like, I've been told, like, that sounds condescending, and like, it's true. Like, we can be that way with ourselves and each other, and it's because we think that we want to know everything, but there's no way to know everything. There's no way to be everything. There's no way to have all of everything, but the ego always wants more, and Leo is a lot about the ego. Leo is definitely about ego versus heart. And hopefully we would learn to lean into that courageous, brave lion heart. Another thing about Leo type energy, it's associated with like, royalty, and making sure that we all recognize that we all have a birthright to experience life on this planet to the best that we are able to the most that we are able to. We all have that birthright by being on this planet, on this rock, and Leo was born into it. Like, if you think about royalty, a lot of times royalty, it's not earned, it's like thrust upon, or it's inherited. And so there's constantly a pressure to prove, or to keep proving, or to maintain that level of self-respect, and also respect for others. Because if you don't have it for others, just like as if you don't have it for yourself, you can't have it for others. But if you don't have it for others, and if it's more egoic than actually of the heart, that causes overthrows and what have you. And this is part of what the lesson is. While Pluto, the planet of power and past lives, has moved now into Aquarius, which is about equality and equity and making sure that everything's reinforced with strength. And when everything is reinforced with strength, and when we start giving more strength and resources to areas that didn't have it before, it makes everything stronger. But in order to do that, we have to learn how being instinctual and being acting as new human beings and new awarenesses, we have to get to the point where we learn that. And so we're just at the very beginning of this whole story that can last 260 some odd years. So we're going to have Leo's going to be, the sun in Leo is going to be trining Neptune. Neptune has to do with dreams, and it has to do with delusions. It can have to do with delusions. It can have to do with drugs. And that's in Aries. So we're also having that happening at the same time as Leo's going to be trining Saturn in Aries, and the moon is going to be trining, the sun and the moon are trining Neptune in Aries. So we have a lot of Aries aspects. We have a trine with Saturn in Aries as well. And then the opposing forces is this Pluto Aquarius. So we have air and we have fire. And then there's also a sextile. Sextiles are great. A lot of fun. Just think like fun times. Well, we have that happening with Uranus, which can be very unpredictable in Gemini. So with this retrograde and this unpredictability with Gemini in Uranus, there can definitely be opportunities, however fortuitous or not. And I would err on the side of caution in regards to this, in regards to just think Uranus, and Gemini. Just think, be careful what we say. If people say things that have you feeling pretty dramatic, you might not be letting it show on a new moon. It might not even hit you right away on a new moon, because the new moon is dark and it has to do with our unconscious and our subconscious. And but chances are something good is going to come out of it, and it's going to be part of the catalyst for change in the direction that it's meant to, because a lot of us were born with Scorpio and Uranus, a lot of us that are alive today. So that's inevitable that will be happening. And a lot of those of us who are born with that aspect are the people who are actively creating change in the world, because we're at the age where people do that. We're not all old and retired yet. So yeah, watch out for, just asinine speech. And if somebody says something that rubs you the wrong way this Leo season while Mercury's in retrograde, just remember to talk to yourself in a less condescending way, to try to talk to others in a less condescending way, and to try to remember that while there's a moment where someone might not know something or might need to be reminded about something again, or for the first time be taught something, at that same token, there are other things that they are advanced at. And regardless of whether they were advanced or not at something, we all have a birthright on this planet to have respect for ourselves as human beings, and respect for each other as human beings. When we go into Virgo, which is going to be after this Leo season, that's when it's time for discernment and judgment. And I like to say, don't judge a book by its cover, but on the same token, that looks like a crackhead over there, well, this isn't a time for that. This is a time where, the bad crack in me honors and recognizes the bad crack in you, but we are all part of divinity. And we all have the same capacity for existence, for being born, for taking up space, and to be honored and to honor ourselves. And there have been all kinds of stories of people turning life around in positive ways that they enjoyed for themselves and in negative ways that they did not enjoy for themselves. So this is just about like honoring and respect and keeping a distance. If you see somebody acting out of sorts, talking amok, just, be like, okay, don't waste your mental energy or your self-respect on judging them or thinking about why they're wrong and you're right or any of it. Just focus on you. What is it that you're here for? What is it that you want out of life? Okay, if their needs aren't getting met in that particular area, or supported, or maybe they were even getting infringed upon, that's okay. There's still an abundance of this rock that we're floating on in the middle of outer space to take care of yourself and to take care of each other from. There are kind gestures if you have the heart to, if you're well taken care of enough that you can have compassion in situations where you might be encountering something other than what it is that you want to resonate with, then that's even better. Maybe you have had been wearing the crown and it's been working out really well for you, then you can give in a way that's gracious, but a lot of what kings and queens, when they were good and kind for all concerned in the kingdom, they weren't necessarily always like out and doing it, being seen. They had things they could organize things in a way that would help and serve other people without necessarily always needing to be at the center of attention or being seen doing it. And that would be the difference between like the egoic Leo type archetype energy and doing it from the brave heart. The brave heart and the courageous heart is doing it with this knowing and this faith that it can make change and make it better, possibly, even if it's not being seen doing so. So yeah, something I think that during this Leo season, it's a great time to be just really reviewing your thoughts and how you think about things. Take time to do your mirror work. Like imagine somebody brushing their hair. We look in the mirror when we do our hair, right? And if we're not doing our hair when we're looking in the mirror, maybe we are doing our skincare, maybe we're brushing our teeth. Well, take some time looking in the mirror, looking into your own eyes, and just reprogram some of those thoughts that don't serve. Any of those areas where you might have been condescending to yourself, any of those areas where someone might have been condescending towards you, and talk to yourself as if you are, take turns. You're your fantasy lover, you're your fantasy mother, you're your fantasy father, you're your fantasy friend, whatever it is. How would you be talking? How would you be spoken to? Maybe you long to have a child and you want to impart ways for them to think about themselves or think about life that will feel better for them. Practice doing that in front of the mirror, especially before they're born, before you don't have time to do that kind of stuff because they catch you all over the place. So it's a great time for doing the mirror work. Leo vibes, light some candles, the fake ones or the real ones, whatever. Don't forget your crown. Even use the fake crystals if you want to, like selenite, for example. That's called selenite, but really it's just salt. You know, real selenite isn't sparkly like that. And kyanite, but like, you know, there's a lot of like fake crystals out there that are really pretty too. And like, put those on if those are the vibe that you want. Like, or just, you know, wear your invisible crown. It doesn't have to be literal. I made this so long ago. And I love it. And I hardly ever wear it because I feel a little silly, but Leo's about being playful too. And keep that playful vibe. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, keep enjoying your summer. You know, take it easy. This is these 3 weeks that are happening during this Leo season is the time to take it easy and get out there and enjoy the summer weather if you can, because the next time you're going to have this type of slowdown to mentally review how far you've come and how well you're doing, and how well you can do and how you can rearrange things for yourself, is going to be in November. So enjoy yourself now, and cheers to Leo season. Don't forget your crown.